Your student loan payment hits every single month, $280, like clockwork. You've been paying for 3 years now, 36 payments, over $10,000 sent in. So you log in to check your balance, and it barely moved. You borrowed $35,000. After 3 years of payments, you still owe $28,600. That math doesn't feel right. It shouldn't feel right because nobody explained what's actually happening inside that loan. And what's happening is costing you thousands more than you ever agreed to. Here's what they didn't cover at orientation. Your loan starts accumulating interest the day it's issued, not after you graduate, not after your grace period. The day the money hits your school's account. Most federal student loans carry around 6.8% interest. On a $35,000 loan, that means roughly $6.50 in interest every single day. While you're in school for 4 years, that interest is quietly stacking up. By the time you graduate, you could already owe $2,000 to $4,000 more than you originally borrowed. And you haven't made a single payment yet. Now here's the part that really matters. When you enter repayment, most of your monthly payment goes toward interest first, not the amount you actually borrowed. That original amount is called the principal. On a $280 payment, sometimes $190 goes straight to interest in the early years. Only $90 chips away at what you owe. That's why the balance feels frozen. You're paying, but you're mostly paying for the privilege of having borrowed the money. Now let's talk about the thing that turns a manageable loan into a monster. It's called interest capitalization, and it's the most important concept nobody ever explained to you. Here's how it works. When you're in school, in your grace period, or in any kind of deferment or forbearance, interest is building up on your loan. It's just sitting there, unpaid, growing quietly on the side. But the moment your repayment starts, or you exit forbearance, or you switch repayment plans, all that built up interest gets added to your principal balance. Now you're being charged interest on the interest. Think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. Your original loan was the snowball. The unpaid interest is the extra snow it picks up. And capitalization is the moment that extra snow becomes part of the ball itself. Now the whole thing is bigger, and it picks up snow even faster. Say you borrowed $35,000 and spent 4 years in school. During those 4 years, about $9,500 in interest built up. When you enter repayment, that $9,500 gets capitalized. Your new balance is now $44,500. You never agreed to borrow $44,500. You never signed a paper that said $44,500, but that's what you owe. And every future interest calculation is based on $44,500, not $35,000. According to the Federal Reserve, the average borrower still owes 95% of their original balance 5 years after graduating. That's not because people aren't paying. It's because the system is designed so that paying isn't enough. Time to do the math. Because this is where it gets painful. You borrowed $35,000 at 6.8% interest on a standard 10-year repayment plan. Your monthly payment is about $403. Over 10 years, that's 120 payments. $403 times 120 equals $48,432. You borrowed $35,000. You pay back $48,432. That's $13,432 in pure interest. Money that doesn't reduce your balance. Money that goes straight to the loan servicer. But that's the best case scenario. That's if you pay on time, every month, for 10 years straight. Life doesn't usually work like that. Say you lose your job 2 years in. You call your servicer and enter forbearance. That means you stop making payments for 12 months. During those 12 months, interest is still building. At 6.8% on roughly $29,000 remaining. That's about $1,970 in new interest. When forbearance ends, that $1,970 gets capitalized, added right to your balance. Now say it happens again 5 years later, another rough patch, another 6 months of forbearance, another $1,200 in capitalized interest. Your total balance has now grown by over $3,100 from periods where you thought you were getting a break. When you finally pay off the loan, your total cost is no longer $48,432. It's closer to $58,000 on a $35,000 loan. Let that sit for a moment. You went to school to build a better future. You did everything they told you to do, and the system charged you $23,000 for the privilege of being in debt. According to the Brookings Institution, nearly half of all borrowers in income-driven repayment plans see their balances grow over time, even while making monthly payments. You're not falling behind because you're irresponsible. You're falling behind because the math was designed that way. So who benefits from all of this? Not you. The loan servicers get paid for every account they manage. They process your payments, handle your paperwork, and collect fees. They have no financial incentive for you to pay off your loan faster. A longer repayment timeline means more months of servicing fees. The Department of Education itself collects billions in interest every year. In 2023 alone, the federal government was projected to earn over $50 billion from student loan interest across all borrowers. That's not a charity program. That's a revenue stream. Then there are the schools. Tuition has risen 200% since 1980. That's not a typo. 1,200%. Meanwhile, wages for young workers have barely doubled in the same period. Schools raise tuition because they know you'll borrow whatever they charge. The loan is approved before you understand what 6.8% compounding over a decade actually means. Nobody sits you down at 18 and says, here's what this loan will really cost. Nobody shows you the amortization schedule. Nobody explains capitalization, and that silence is profitable. Every confused borrower who enters forbearance generates more interest. Every person who switches to an income-driven plan and extends their repayment to 20 or 25 years pays more in total interest. The system doesn't break when you struggle. The system works exactly as designed when you struggle. Now, the most common objection you'll hear is, just pay more than the minimum. Easy to say. Harder to do when you're earning $40,000 a year and rent alone takes $1,200 a month. But here's the truth. Even small extra payments make a massive difference if you do them right. The key is making sure your extra money goes directly toward the principal, not toward next month's payment, not toward interest, toward the actual balance. You usually have to call your servicer or adjust it online. They won't do it automatically. And that's step one. Call your loan servicer this week and say these exact words. Apply all extra payments directly to principal. Step two, find $50 a month. That's it. Skip one dinner out. Cancel one subscription you forgot about. Sell something you haven't used in a year. Put that $50 toward your principal every single month. On a $35,000 loan at 6.8%, adding $50 a month saves you over $3,800 in total interest, and you pay off the loan 14 months early. Step 3. Never enter forbearance unless it's a true emergency. If you lose your income, call your servicer and ask about income-driven repayment instead. Your payments might drop to $0 on certain plans. But unlike forbearance, subsidized interest doesn't always capitalize the same way. Ask specifically about interest subsidies. These 3 steps cost you almost nothing, but they change the entire math of your loan. The system counts on you not knowing this. Now you know. 2 people. Both graduated with $35,000 in student loans. Both earning $45,000 a year. Same interest rate. Same starting point. Person A does what most people do. Makes the minimum payment of $403 every month. Enters forbearance twice when things get tight. Never calls the servicer about payment application. After 10 years, person A pays roughly $58,000 total. That's $23,000 more than they borrowed. They finish their last payment at age 32 and have nothing saved. Every extra dollar went to a debt that just kept growing. Person B watches a video like this one. They called their servicer in week 1. They say, apply all extra payments to principal. They find $50 a month in their budget, just $50. They skip forbearance both times by switching to income-driven repayment during rough patches. After 10 years, person B pays roughly $44,600 total. They pay off the loan 14 months early, at age 30. And with those 14 extra months of no payments, they start putting $403 a month into a basic index fund. In just those 14 months, that's over $5,600 invested. By age 40, that $5,600 has grown to roughly $11,500 with average market returns. Same degree, same starting salary, same loan. Person A paid $58,000 and has nothing. Person B paid $44,600 and has $11,500 growing. The difference? Not income, not luck, just information. You signed that loan when you were 18, maybe 17. Nobody sat across from you and explained capitalization. Nobody showed you what 6.8% over a decade actually looks like. That's not your failure. That was the system working exactly how it was built to work. But now you've seen the numbers. You understand the mechanics. You know the 3 steps. You're not someone who just pays the minimum anymore. You're someone who knows where every dollar of that payment goes. This is not your fault. Nobody taught you this, but now you know, and knowing changes everything.